Hey everyone, my name is Wolf Girl, aka Britt, and I know you guys know who I am by now, but today we're gonna be playing some more Wizard's Choice. I haven't played it in a while. Like I wanted to make videos earlier, but things have just been crazy for me, and I've been trying to make some extra cash by working on reward apps that I have posted on various social media platforms. So you guys should check them out if you want to. But that's what I've been doing for the time. So now I'm back with Wizzard's Choice. I can't remember where we left off, but I've managed to kill myself and lose some lives. That's, I don't know, normal would be the right word. So, let's start.
Off you go deeper into the castle. Soon you find yourself in a library. However, all the books are gone from the tall wooden shelves, either stolen or destroyed. As a wizard, this is disappointing to you. All castle libraries have secret doors, you announce. After searching for a little while, you notice a small statue of a winged boy reading a book, worked into the stone wall. You press on the arm of the statue, and it shifts down. There is a grinding sound, and you see the bookshelf nearby crack open from the wall. You wedge your fingers into the gap and pry open the door. Immediately before you, stairs descending into the darkness. Dear listener, normally I would give you a choice whether or not you go down the stairs, but really, who finds a secret door and chooses not to investigate? And so, with lantern in hand, you descend a few steps and then listen. It is deadly quiet down here, and chilly. You urge Reginald to take the lead. After all, he is wearing the armor. There is a small metal lever on the inside of the passage that you suppose is what you use to open the door from the inside. Nevertheless, you decide to leave the door open. The last thing you need is to get trapped in this evil-smelling place. It is some time before you finally reach a small, empty chamber. On the far wall is a large iron door. Scrawled over the door in rusty red dye, or more likely, dried blood, is a set of elaborate symbols. "Gods, what is that?" says Reginald, playing the lantern light over the symbols. "It is writing in the infernal tongue," you say. A language of devils, demons, and other beasts that inhabit the nightmare universes. "At times, I do not envy your knowledge," says Reginald with a faint shudder. "The study of magic leads to many dark places," you say. "The trick is to not wander too far into the void." "What does it say?" asks Reginald in a tone that is not at all enthusiastic or curious. You study the symbols. They are crudely drawn, as though in haste. Perhaps scrawled by bloody fingers. I cannot be sure. I believe it is a ward of some sort. A protection spell. "A protective spell using such a foul language?" Reginald sniffs. "I would expect a curse or a fiendish summoning." "It is protection against such a summoning. A barrier, you say. Evil knows evil best, and a spellcaster of black magic understands the need to protect himself from the terrors they bring into this world." Reginald grimaces and points the tip of his sword at the warded door. "Only a fool would go down there. Although,
Exactly.
I am more a man of curiosity than wisdom." You slap his shoulder, making a dull sound against his breastplate, as you have proven time and again.
Got him.
What do you want to do? 1. Open the door.
No.
2. Leave.
Let's leave. I'm not opening the door.
You turn and start up the stairs. You hear a shuddering screech behind you. Spinning around, you see Reginald prying the door open and peering in with his lantern. "More stairs going down. It is said that the deeper you go, the more treasure you find," Reginald says with a grin. His grin soon vanishes, though, as he exclaims, "Oh, the stench!" He walks in. Should not the stench discourage exploration? You
Reginald.
wonder. Nevertheless,
Reg,
you follow
come on.
after him. The two of you descend for some time before you enter into a large room, eerily illuminated by green flaming torches fastened to each of the walls. Near the far wall is a dais leading up to a large obsidian altar. Upon closer inspection, you see candles in golden candle holders and a large golden bowl stained red inside. In fact, the entire altar is stained rusty red. Also upon the altar sits a book. The book is bound in what might very well be mummified human skin, with hand and finger bones embedded into the cover, as though the book were in the grasp of the dead. The title is in Infernal, but you do not recognize the words. Just before the altar is a narrow but deep pit. Shining the lantern in, you make out something gleaming white, a skeletal arm and hand. Reginald adds his light to yours, and you can now see a heap of bodies at various stages of decay. The heap is crawling with rats and other vile scavengers. Sacrifices, the source of the stench, you mutter. I would bet my last copper the father of Sibba and the rest of the caravan are among them. Reginald makes a face of disgust. I say we swiftly pilfer what we can from this unholy place and leave. As he says this, you notice a darkness that seems to be collecting behind the altar, as though the fabric between this world and the abyss is ripping apart before your eyes. 1. Take what you can and run. 2. No time! Run! Run! You shout.
I'm not taking
Reginald
anything.
snatches the book off the altar and turns toward the stairs.
Reginald!
You turn to flee. Chilling cold encircles you,
Whoa.
and there is hoarse laughter. You look back and see that the darkness behind the altar has taken the shape of a man, a tall, spindly shadow with malevolent, hollow pits for eyes. Your souls are mine, hisses the thing in the infernal language, its voice echoing all around you. Demon! You shout. Up the stairs you bolt, leaping 3 steps at a time. There is a wheezing snarl not far behind. You make it through the large iron door. The door is heavy, and the hinges are tight. Nevertheless, you expect that if you hurl your entire weight against it, you can knock it shut. But this will take time, and the demon is nearly upon you. 1. Try to close it. 2. No time, just run. You run into the room, turn back, and slam your weight against the door, which grudgingly shuts with a whine of its hinges. Well, it almost shuts. Some debris has fallen in the way, keeping it open a crack. There is a snarl, and the door shakes, but the arcane symbols scrawling on the door appear to be a ward, meant to provide a barrier to spirits. You would like to open the door enough to kick the debris out of the way and shut it properly, but you do not dare. Instead, you concentrate on running as fast as possible up the stairway after Reginald. As you reach the secret door in the library, there is a great bang that echoes from below, followed by a jubilant shout, Freedom! Keep running! You shout to Reginald. He does not seem to need this encouragement as he sprints out the library door. You follow him out of the library and down several passageways. Rounding a corner, you are suddenly in a large and lavishly furnished room, filled with the soft light of dozens of candles. In the middle are 3 of the evil priests holding hands, surrounding what appears to be a pile of corpses. The men are chanting in the infernal language. One of the corpses begins to twitch. Just to the side of the priest stands the massive ogre, his pale white body and large cold dark eyes fix on Reginald. Meanwhile, the corpse that had been twitching springs up to its feet with alarming speed. You think you recognize him as one of the priests you had killed earlier. The undead creature levels its hungry gaze upon you. What do you do? 1. Attack with your dagger. 2. Blast them. Requires 4 mana. 3. Charm the ogre. Requires 3 mana. 4. Run away. You have 10 mana. You point to the ogre and recite magical words, pausing now and then to blow kisses into the air. The ogre, who is about to swing his mighty club at Reginald, instead turns his attention to you. You are not entirely sure, but you think you see the soft glow of ogre affection in those large, dark orbs. One of the priests throws a large candle at you and then begins reciting a spell. When the poorly aimed and weakly thrown candle misses you, the ogre slams the priest in the face with his club, smashing it like a melon. Yes, yes, you shout to the ogre, kill them all! The undead corpse springs at you, but the ogre grabs it by the leg in midair and crashes it to the floor. The ogre and the zombies then grapple each other, clawing, biting, and strangling. Reginald has since gathered his wits and slays another of the priests with his sword. The two of you fall upon the remaining priest the old medieval way, cutting and stabbing with blades. Soon the poor fool is nothing more than a bloody mess on the floor. Your morale goes up 4 points. You look over and see that the ogre has dismembered the now motionless undead priest. But in the process, however, he has been grievously wounded. Its neck has been ripped open, and purplish blood is pumping out. It looks at you, pleadingly, before collapsing. As you and Reginald catch your breath, from somewhere in the castle echoes the distant raspy cackle of the dark spirit with the hellish eyes. A chill goes up your spine. You do not want to tangle with that thing again. You suspect neither your spells nor blades can harm it. Perhaps it would be wise to run from this cursed place.
Yeah.
On the other hand, maybe you could afford to take a few seconds to search the bodies of your recently fallen enemies. But there is still the matter of the merchant daughter. What do you do? 1. Search the bodies. 2. Find Siva first. 3. Flee the castle. Come, Reginald, we must find her, you say. The two of you are debating where exactly you should go to accomplish this when there is a blood-curdling scream not far off. Before you can react, you see Siva, her eyes bloodshot, run into the candlelight. Your morale goes up a point. Gods be praised, you exclaim. Gods, we must flee! A monster comes, Siva shouts. The 3 of you run. The ears, you complain as you run through the castle entrance chamber. You are referring to the goblin corpses from which you could harvest trophies. No number of rubbery ears are worth your soul, Reginald exclaims. Despite your present anxiety, this strikes you as somewhat funny, and you plan to remind him of his words later, if you survive. For now, you do as your friend advises and keep running. The 3 of you retreat to the forest. You are all exhausted, and so once safely away from that cursed ruin and reasonably certain no evil follows, you make camp. Because you are still in goblin country, you decide against the campfire. Instead, you will have to just make do with the sleeping roll in your backpack. It is a rather cold night, and you notice Siva carries nothing but the ripped-up clothing on her back. What do you do? 1. Offer to share a blanket. 2. Offer her your blanket. 3. Shrug and go to sleep.
We're going to offer her the blanket.
My lady, you bow. My blanket is yours. You present the blanket in your outstretched arms. Listener, you know how to be a gentleman. Siva smiles, curtsies, and takes the blanket from you. Chivalry is alive and well in the Fallowland forest, she says to you. She then quickly gathers up a pile of leaves and pine needles into a woodland bed and curls up. Your morale goes up a point.
Yeah.
I will take the first watch, Reginald offers, and then sighs contentedly as he pulls out his own blanket from his backpack and wraps it around himself. He then plops down with his back against a tree. You stare at him expectantly and clear your throat several times until he finally gives up his joke and hands you his blanket. You then roll up in it and fall asleep. Resting gave you 8 life and 8 mana.
Yes, thank you.
It is your watch, Reginald says as he shakes you awake. After some stretching, yawning, and complaining, you hand Reginald his blanket and take your turn at the watch. You settle into your watch. Your eyes wander to the sleeping merchant daughter. A sliver of moonlight has escaped through the branches above and illuminates her delicate nose. You decide that it is a pretty little nose. For whatever reason, this leads you to wonder if even your pinky would fit into one of her tiny nostrils. You chuckle to yourself as you imagine the expression on her face at waking with your finger in her nose. And then you feel a pang of guilt for imagining this. The young maiden has just lost her father. I should not make sport of her, even in my mind, you think. Danger? Reginald rolls over, his eyes slits. He is only half awake. I understand invisibility. I can turn invisible, at last. This spell has eluded me for so long. At least, I think I understand, you say as you point down at the arcane symbols in your book. Go to sleep, Reginald slurs, and then his head falls back to the ground. This is goblin country, and I am on watch. I dare not sleep, you say. But Reginald does not hear you. He is snoring again. It turns out that you are not so vigilant after all. At some point, as you gaze at the candle flame, you fall asleep.
Yeah, this part always has a problem, for some reason.
It turns out that you are not so vigilant after all. At some point, as you gaze at the candle flame, you fall asleep. Awaken! Someone is near! Reginald whispers as he shakes you. You sit up groggily. It is early morning. At first, all you hear are singing birds. Then, sure enough, voices trickle in through the trees. Not goblins. Not in the daytime, you think. They approach upon the trail, Sibba says, huddling in her blanket. To the trail, then, but keep quiet, says Reginald. Why? Why not stay still and let them pass? Asks Sibba. Because we are adventurers, you whisper fiercely as you gather your backpack. Refusing to be left by herself, Sibba follows as you creep up to the edge of the trail. Thank the gods she is not sniffling or otherwise making a racket. You have just taken up your position in the brush when you see the first of a column of priests of Nerul. Several of them are speaking casually, loudly even, as though they and not the goblins own this part of the woods. As they pass by, you see in the middle of the column a large stretcher made of thick wooden branches and rough spun fabric. It is carried by 8 priests. Upon the stretcher is a pure white horse, whose legs are bound with rope. Not a horse, but a unicorn. You have not seen one before, but the long, soft, glowing horn is a dead giveaway. Several meters behind the main party are a tall man and a woman. You know the young woman. Or to be precise, you know of her. She is the beautiful Lady Igraine, daughter of Lord Igraine. Her father holds a keep and estate some distance from town, and her family comes to Ring City for annual tournaments. More than once you have gazed wistfully at her from the cheap seats far in the corner of the jousting arena. Allow me to take a moment to apologize to those listeners who in real life prefer to gaze wistfully at handsome men, since you are playing the part of a heterosexual male wizard and are now gazing most wistfully at this woman. You are disappointed and somewhat horrified, though, not because she is a woman, but because she is, in fact, a Nerulean priest. And the man with her, you wonder. After a moment, you recognize him as her father, Lord Igraine. To think a man of such an illustrious line would get mixed up with this evil lot. Anyway, back to Lady Igraine. Her jet black hair is pulled back to reveal a most shapely, long neck. Her flawless skin glows in the dawn light. It is as though the sun itself, desperate to touch her, has found a path through the forest canopy. The golden unholy symbol of Nerul hanging over her bosom contrasts nicely with her large brown eyes. We cannot go back there, not yet, Lord Igraine says. Why would we go back ever? The ruin offers no decent bath, Lady Igraine replies. There is some unfinished business. However, it can wait, Lord Igraine says as he absently pats the pocket of his immense fur-lined coat. The Old One will move on from Castle Inverness to seek the living. Let us hope he does not exact revenge upon us. After the column has passed out of earshot, Reginald sighs. A unicorn, was it not? Where did they find such a creature? And what do they plan to do with it, you ask? I wager they do not plan to simply feed her apples and comb her mane, Reginald replies. Her? It is a lady unicorn, you ask? Oh, I did not look in that, decisive region, Reginald blushes. Such craven and pathetic simpletons, Sibeth seethes as she glares after the column of priests disappearing around a bend. I propose we tie each of them down and cut off one finger at a time. We will bind their wounds to ensure they will not lose too much blood and fall unconscious. I will then take their eyelids and...
Whoa.
Oh, I do not think all that will be necessary, you interrupt. There are perhaps 24 of them. I do not think we will have the time for all that, work. You and Reginald exchange perplexed looks, and then Reginald whispers in your ear, Young maidens love unicorns. Sibba regards the two of you with hard eyes. We should attack them now and make them pay for their transgressions. There are too many, Reginald protests, even with the element of surprise. I thought you said you were adventurers, Sibba interrupts. Adventurers, not idiots, Reginald replies, his pride clearly hurt. There are only 3 of us, and they are slow by their burden. We could cut through the woods and get ahead of them. We shall ambush them as they come by. Or we could follow them from a distance and learn more about our quarry. Perhaps strike at a more opportune time, Reginald says. And perhaps they will notice us following them. Or perhaps they are journeying to some vile fortification that we cannot hope to storm. I say we ambush them now while they are in the open, Sibba says. What do you say? 1. Ambush them. 2. Follow them.
Well, that's where we're going to end it today, guys.
We have surprise on our side. And they are as...
Pause that. Okay. That's where we're going to end it today. So we just need to decide whether or not to save the unicorn and ambush the priests, or which would be what Sibba advises now, or do as Reginald suggests and basically make camp at different stations, in the world, and you know what? Either ambush them now, which is what I think maybe we should do to score brownie points with Sibba, if nothing else, or hide in various places and ambush them as they're passing by, which would also be a good option. So let me know what we should do, or what I should do, or if you just want to continue watching and let me make all the decisions, then that's fine too. Because I really like this game. I am actually happy that it was free on the Google Play Store, so it's really fun. I might do a video later today, but the one thing that I had to say throughout the whole thing is those people are Nerulean priests. Neru being Hades, or not Hades, Kronos, and so essentially, I was gonna make a joke and say that the Nerulean priests aren't haters, they're Hades. Get it? Because Hades, the god, Lord of the Dead? No? Not funny? Okay. Well, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys in the near future. Bye.